Reaching your dreams is actually easier than you think. The main reason we think our dreams and goals are so hard to achieve is because we think in obstacles and all the things that potentially could go wrong. But I want to change your mind how it is actually easier than you think. So the first step that you need to take is believing in your dream and goal. And I know this can be hard, and a lot of times that's what happens to us when we grow up, that we stop believing in our dreams. We kind of face this reality with those top athletes that started at a very young age. So when you start believing in your dream, the most important thing is it doesn't matter how unrealistic this thing is. If you want to read 100 books a year and you've never read a single book in a year, just because from the point of life that you're in right now, your dream seems unrealistic, doesn't mean it is going to be realistic one day. What helps believing your dream is understanding that you become your environment. The people you're surrounded by, the town that you live in, this is your current reality, and people keep reminding you of that. I'm from a very small town in Germany, and I know how it feels like to have big dreams. And every time I would share that, being super excited and thinking other people would be excited for me as well, but they would always hit me with the reality check. They're like, you can't change the world, you're so young, all these things. So I constantly reminded myself, okay, coming from this small town, a lot of people were more small-minded, I would say. And because of that, I thought maybe it's not meant for me. Maybe those other people, they're meant to change the world, but it's not me. And living with that reality led me to believe, to kind of give up on my dream. To me, there was, when I was young, only this dream of wanting to start a new school system to change the people. But people told me it's like unrealistic, and I was like, you're right, it's actually unrealistic from where I'm at in life right now. But there's one thing that I want to remind you, that every person, every idol that you look up to, they at one point had to learn how to walk as well. They had to learn how to write as well. They had to learn all these other things that you learned as well. But the difference is that they believed in what they said. Let's look at Jake Paul. Like, he always makes like crazy statements of saying like, oh, I'm going to beat this person, I'm going to beat that person. But he believes in the things that he says, or at least he polarizes and it gets people's attention, and it works for him perfectly. But I just want to tell you, like, some people, they make crazy statements, but believing is the first step. Every person that you look up to, they believed in their dream before they were able to live their dream life or to achieve their goal. Choose your environment wisely, and also whose critics you're taking. We're social beings, so feedbacks matter to us, but we need to be very selective of who we care to hear the feedback from, because some people, they just give us terrible feedback and it's like, you don't even know what you're talking about. My grandparents, they do not travel a lot, but I do travel a lot, and they constantly tell me to not travel to this and that area because it's very dangerous, because that's what they see on TV. I have the experience of traveling, so I'm like, I know that it's not as bad as some things are portrayed on TV, but you only know that firsthand. So if a world traveler gives me tips and is like, okay, maybe don't stay in this area because it might be dangerous, I'm more likely to take that feedback because I know this is a person that traveled to that place, like they know the area, they stayed there for a year. If your parents or if your people from college, from work tell you you can't do something, just know, are they living a life that you desire to live? And if the answer is no, don't take the things personal that they say. This is really hard because I'm also a person that takes things personal if someone criticizes something about me. But look for the people that you kind of look up to because of their work ethic at work, maybe because of the qualities of their personality, maybe they're like really kind and you wish you would be as compassionate and kind as they are. Look for these people and try to surround yourself with these people. Sometimes that means you need to let go of all of your set of friends because they don't match the vision that you have in the future. And I know that can be hard letting go, but it will be for the better. If you actually want to achieve your goals, you have to sacrifice certain things, maybe your time, maybe some friends, but it will be for the bigger picture. And that can be hard because our brain always looks for these like instant gratification things, like, oh, I want to drink coffee, I want to go spend the weekend here, instead of working towards your dreams. But you need to become obsessed with your dream, and that all starts by believing in it. People manifest and it works because you're telling yourself how your future life is going to look like, and that will make you kind of like crave that, so you work towards reaching these goals. The next thing that I did that completely changed everything for me, my year abroad in New York. I met so many different people, and I also want to add that I only met this many different kinds of people because I constantly put myself in situations surrounded by people that are not like me, that might have a different background, maybe from like really poor families or really rich families, like stuff that I was not used to. I would surround myself by people with like different ethnicities, different religious backgrounds, different cultures, countries, where I felt like these people grew up completely different. But I was able to learn so much from people that were way older than me, way younger than me. All these different backgrounds helped me become who I am today. And a lot of times we stay in our comfort zone, surrounded by the people that we grew up with, that might have the same financial background, same ethnicity, that are way much more like us. But seeing these other people, seeing these other realities of how your life could look like, helps you also to believe in your dream life being possible. Being in New York, you're surrounded by literally homeless people and millionaires, so many. And being able to meet millionaires for the first time, and also people that used to be homeless, kind of gives you this reality check of knowing both things are a reality, and people had to work towards that, or people lost something, and it's like how you deal with your failures. It's how you deal with things a lot of times, and you will notice meeting these other people. Some people had crazy setbacks, and you hear it and you're like, wow, how were you able to get back up? And these inspirational stories, like even watching them on Instagram or YouTube, is not the same like meeting those people in real life, because if once you meet them in real life, you understand it's possible. I feel like through social media, a lot of times we see so many rich people, we see so many people turning into influencers and all this and that, but the difference is that you don't know them in person, and that's why it doesn't really feel real, even though it's real, if that makes sense. So it's so important to meet these people, and that's why it's so important also to choose your environment wisely. Moving to New York, there's like a lot of pressure, a lot of financial pressure, and this and that. I don't want to romanticize taking that step, but at the same time, the bigger the struggle, the bigger the growth can be, because it kind of forces you to get creative. It forces you to stop procrastinating, because if you procrastinate, nothing is happening and nothing will ever happen. So you turn into an active being that actively works towards their dreams, and this is really fulfilling. And that's when you learn it's not really about hitting that specific goal. It's not about reaching this $1 million in your bank account. It's not about getting this degree and then you're happy. One of my biggest dreams was to start a YouTube channel, and I didn't do it for so long. I had so many doubts. Everything starts with something. Every YouTuber started with having 0 subscribers. With sometimes things can look so far away, but it's about taking those small steps. Every video that you post as a content creator is kind of like a seed that can grow something. And maybe some seeds don't work out as others, but you're always one video away from hitting your next milestone, and that applies to everything. Everything that you try is like planting a seed, and you don't know the outcome yet. You don't know if it's going to sprout and bloom, but one thing that you know is if you don't plant the seed, nothing will happen. If you keep procrastinating, nothing will happen. Of course, if nothing happens, you already know the outcome. This kind of gives you like a sense of control, of knowing you know the outcome, nothing. And if you plant it, you don't know the outcome yet. But you're getting better. The more you plant, the more will grow. Sometimes it's filled with setbacks, but it's important to understand that when you choose to do something, right? It's kind of like going on a train ride. And let's say your goal is to get to London. It might be a 10-hour trip on the train or even longer. So it matters that you are on the right track. It doesn't matter where you are. You might be in the beginning, you might be in the middle, you might be very close to London, but it matters to get closer to that stop. And just because a lot of people might reach it in a certain goal in 10 years, and maybe you need to take 20 years. It doesn't matter as long as you're on the right track. And that is what matters, going in the right direction. And that means being surrounded by the right people, making the right choices, but also making mistakes and learning from those mistakes, right? The difference between very successful people and the average person is that they don't give up and they see failure as a learning lesson. They don't see it as, I'm a failure, I'm not worth anything, like I should not be doing this and that. They learn from it constantly every day, and they love to make mistakes because they will learn from it. It's like the attitude that you have towards certain things. And that brings me to my last step, and that is work with your resources. We all have a very different life, and that's also difficult if you watch a lot of videos online, because these people that give you the advice to do or to reach certain goals, they're talking from their resources. So as soon as you feel like you don't have that resource, you feel like it's not possible. So again, first step, you need to believe in your goal being possible. There are so many successful stories of people that were literally from India, from the slums, and they were able to work very high positions in Microsoft or being their own CEO. And it all worked out because first, they started believing in their life. And then they did everything in their means to make this vision their reality. It's easier than you think because see obstacles as opportunities where you can learn something new about yourself that you didn't know before. We all experience this life for the first time. It is human to make mistakes. It is natural that you try things, and it's like a trial and error thing. Like you just try to push different buttons until something works for you. Working with your resources means whatever your financial background is, you can work with that. Depending on how you prioritize to spend your money, that can make all the difference. I used to feel like a lot of peer pressure doing things with friends because I thought like, in order to stay friends with them, I need to do certain things. I need to go to club with them. I need to go to bars with them. I need to be drinking. Until I realized like the benefit of drinking and being drunk is like so low compared to what I gain from traveling. And that's when I started cutting back on going out as much, because I knew like for that money I could take a plane ride to London and stay there for 24 hours or something like that. And it's like you don't need to be rich in order to live your dream life. You just need to be able to understand how you spend your money and how you spend your time. And that's again based on your environment. If all of your friends just watch Netflix all the time, you're more likely to be watching Netflix as well. If your friends are smoking, you're probably going to be smoking as well. And that's again time spent and money spent doing something. And it's like, if it's not your dream to be smoking with your friends, then you might need to cut that off. And stuff like that can be hard, shifting our lifestyle towards how we want our life to be lived, but you will not regret it. That's the thing. A lot of times we spend so much time worrying about something, but you will not regret it because every lesson learned is a lesson learned. And it's like gaining something. It's like reading a book. And now you have like additional knowledge that you can draw back on because you learned it. It's like a library. You're just collecting books. And every book is a different experience, good or bad. But it fills your bookshelf. It helps you in the future to make decisions based on the mistakes that you made before. Because now you can choose a different route or a different attempt of trying to do this. This is all the difference between you currently that is a dreamer and the person that is a doer and achieves their dreams. That's just the simple difference. 4 steps, and constantly remind yourself, ask yourself, Am I believing in my dream? Who am I surrounded by? Meeting people with completely different backgrounds and stories to get inspired in real life and knowing that your dream is possible. And the last step is working with what you got. What do you have today? You don't need to live in a mansion to be living your dream life. You can already do that in your small apartment. It's like learning to be creative and working with what you got can be really motivating. And a lot of times we want things fast. We want to be a millionaire overnight. We want to win the lottery. That's why so many people play the lottery. But the thing is, if you just get like your dream given to you, it will not feel as fulfilling as knowing you've worked hard to get your dream and knowing what you committed. It's like a different kind of hustle, and I see that with my plants, because you can get very big plants at a very high price, or you can get the same plant small for like less than half the price because of the time other people spent nurturing and growing that plant, right? As a person that doesn't have too much money, of course, I'm going to buy the small plant that might just be like 30 bucks instead of 300 bucks. But at the same time, like, I need to nurture it, I need to help it grow. And the differences between buying the $600 plant and me growing my $30 plant is that after 5 years, when the plant reached the size of the $300 plant, I will feel fulfilled and accomplished because I know I had to nurture that plant. That plant didn't die in those 5 years of me taking care of that plant. So I will feel really proud and fulfilled with only having spent $30 versus buying the $600 plant or getting that $300 plant for free. It will not feel the same thing because I know deep down I did not have to nurture it. It already came like that, and now it's like my challenge to maintain it that way. But it will not feel the same as knowing, oh, I know this plant for 5 years now and I've seen it grow in all these different stages of my own life, because you kind of like grow together. And that's what life is all about. It's the journey, because if your dream would be able to turn into a reality overnight, then you would need another dream for the rest of your life, right? Because as soon as you hit something, it's not over. I hope this video helps you to start believing in your dreams again after making these experiences of meeting these other people and understanding like, well, actually, every person that we look up to, they had the same point in life where they had to choose to believe in their dreams and goals. And that's all the difference. I hope this video helps you, and I hope you're going to stay tuned for the next one. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!